G'day, Derek. Welcome to the Hidden Wire podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Lee. Thanks for the opportunity to be here and have a chat about all things health and life. Really looking forward to the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I saw you speak recently. So that was, I guess, the catalyst for us meeting and
Hmm.
certainly resonated with your message during that presentation. And that's not the depth of you, but your story, I think, is where we could start this because I think it's vulnerably, it's really nice for you to share that because I think a lot of
Hmm.
people can relate and a lot of people are, struggle to voice their own vulnerabilities, I guess, and their struggles openly like that. So having other people share is really important. But, talking about men's health and all things health really today with you is going to be a great conversation for the audience. So, um, thank you for coming on and sharing. And I want to start with your journey. You've
Okay.
got a variety of backgrounds, which has taken you to this new path, including the Thrive Movement Australia, where you're really about helping people live happier lives, right?
Hmm. Yep. Absolutely.
So, how did you get there? And give us a little bit of a backstory into your journey.
Yeah, I think I've always loved learning and and then learning good stuff and then sharing it. And I think probably that started in Scouts when you're 11, 12, and you learn a knot and you have to teach the next kid. Um, and so I love that passing on skills and knowledge. And then um, I
You're an
was,
educator, aren't you?
I'm an educated trainer. I will be for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I've been captain of sporting teams and you just share and nurture and lead. Scouting gave me great leadership skills, that great foundation, working with the community, being of service to others. So that's my foundation, I think. And then I wanted to be a PE and health teacher, but got talked out of that. Ended up working in horticulture on a golf course. Did arboriculture, landscape design, as well as turf management over the next 10 years. And then
Is that what
uh,
got you into golf? Because you're a golf
no,
player.
I'm a golf player. I've always played golf, and so I was playing, you know, keen golf with my dad, and then he said, "There's a job going on the golf course," and I said, "Ah, Dad, I'll be fine. I want to be." Well, yeah, had a little sort of, wanted to be a professional golfer. But he said, "Just go and try it in the school holidays for a couple of weeks," and then yeah, they gave me an old postie bike to ride around in and change some sprinklers. And I thought, oh, it was like being in a national park riding around. I thought, jump over a couple of bunkers, this is fantastic. Where do I sign up? So I ended up doing that. But then after 10 years of doing that and back at TAFE at night time learning more skills, they said, look, we need half a dozen teachers next year. Any of you guys interested? And I went, yeah, I'm interested. What do I need to do? So I got knocked back the first year to see how serious it was, and then applied again the next year and got into my teaching, formal teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did that for a few years in Melbourne.
What were you
Then
teaching at TAFE?
so teaching horticulture, yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
so teaching turf management and teaching arboriculture to apprentices,
Yeah.
and doing Cert 4 as it is now in arboriculture in Melbourne, and then again in Townsville in North Queensland, and then in Mount Gambier, South Australia, where
Okay.
I moved for family reasons back then and to have children
Yeah.
and all that journey and all that stuff that one does over the years. Yeah.
And so all the dots have led you to
And then back
this
to
next
Melbourne.
phase.
Yeah, and then moved back to Melbourne, and then I was learning more at night time, learning IT back in the early 2000s, and then yeah, got a job as a fill-in as an IT teacher at a high school, and then with my outdoor ed sporting background, I was naturally putting my hand up to help run some sporting groups and after school and lunchtime, and then going away on camps and hikes, and then I sort of just morphed into the PE department over the next few years and worked in community schools, a whole lot and then left after 10 years. We just got disillusioned with the whole government, that rules and regulations that I wanted to, maybe some natural rebel, maybe Lee, and push the boundaries and things. And I was just learning some amazing stuff. I was um, on my journey of looking within myself. A divorce is a great opportunity to do that,
Okay.
to
Yep.
look at yourself. What's Who am I being? Who am I attracting? Who am I repelling? Why is life not working?
So that divorce was sort of the catalyst for you to start doing that inner work, do you think?
Yeah, it's sort of, and then you want to move on and have a new relationship, and then you go, I'm attracting the same sort of person.
Yeah.
Why is that? And then sort of, I'm very curious. I'm very high curious. In Herman Brain Dominance Instrument, I'm high yellow, which is the very curious, collaborative, big picture thinking
Yeah.
quadrant. And yeah, and so then it was just moving back to Melbourne and schools and dating and why is this not working? Is it do I smell? Have I said something? What's going on? And so just getting very curious about myself, and then that led to courses and led to more courses. And so I've spent the last 20 years working on myself, doing the inner work to learn about why I do what I do and why I don't do what I sometimes need to do, could do, you know, should do. And then with that teacher educator in me, I just compelled to share it, Lee. So
Mm. Mm.
I've always been healthy. At school I had Vogel bread sandwiches when I was a kid. So none of this white bread stuff for me. I've always been healthy. I've always played sport. I'll be doing push-ups still and planks on my 100th birthday. But sadly, as I've noticed over the last few years, guys my age are not so well.
Yeah.
In fact, I've lost three mates who have died of preventable illnesses and diseases. So
Hmm.
yeah, and I'm finding that a lot of men are just, just happens. Well,
Mm.
man, who's in charge of your life? I
So
know I
talk
am.
to us about, you've done this inner journey for 20 years.
Hmm.
Prior to that, was there any of that in your life, or was it just about, work and family and doing all that stuff? Or was there a inner awareness that you already had? Because I can relate, like I didn't really start my inner journey. I guess I was probably early in life for some people, but for me, it felt like it was later in life.
Hmm.
And I'm on that journey, and I don't think that'll ever end.
No, no.
But I think it's maybe potentially is the most fundamental part of life to do that inner work daily.
Absolutely. And it gives us that freedom, that power that, yeah, I can create the life I want. And if I'm not happy with my life now,
Yeah.
um, it's up to me to think differently, to act differently, and to get better results. So have I think, for the first 25, 26 years of my life, things just flowed. And then with my partner slash wife, things didn't go too well. There was injury, there was illness, um, and that became harder and harder to manage. And then eventually you sort of got to call it, the things are not working. And then, as I said, that big life change of a divorce is a great opportunity to really have a look. And I suppose I was 36 at the time, Lee, and just what's going on. Sort of jumped into another relationship, and then yeah, started to see patterns. And then I moved to Melbourne, and then that relationship was still in South Australia. That decided to let that go, and just yeah, I just found that I was trying to move on. I wanted a new lifelong partner or partner for immediate future, but just it wasn't happening. I was having relationships that only lasted about 3 months. And as I said, I'm going, what the hell's going on? And so that I had some friends that had done um, a lot of the inner work and done NLP. They'd done Chris Howard, they'd done some Tony Robbins, they'd been to some landmark. And I thought, well, what did you learn and how did you do it? And which one should I do? And, I want to learn what is, what am I doing that's not working? I can, blame the world, but I knew deep inside of me, I think all along that um, I was happy to take responsibility and learn. And so I've just been this curious soul that
Yeah,
wanted to know more about how the world works. How do I, starting with me, how do I work, and how
yeah,
do I interact with this big wide world?
yeah. I can see you're quite passionate about, preventable health issues. Losing some friends. I could see. I mean, your eyes are tearing up for those
Mm,
that are watching. And that's quite powerful. And when something means that much to you, to then
mm.
pursue it in a meaningful way, that's purpose, right? That gives you really good intent and good purpose in life. And whilst it must be difficult, it provides you a level of fulfillment and happiness.
Absolutely. And so yeah, I know 100% that my purpose in life is to be a trainer, educator in one way, shape, or form for the rest of my life. I remember doing it 20 years ago with school kids, and we get them in year 10 to sort of go on this job and course explorer thing, and it breaks it down. Are you an inside person, outside? You like working with
Mm,
people, like working animals, and it sort of says, here's some ideal career paths. And the kids would say to me, Mr. Rogers, you go and do it too. And I went, oh, I've done it before. And I go, okay, I'll do it with you. And every time it would come out, teacher, teacher, teacher.
yeah, yeah. And along your way, because I know you shared the story about your own mental health journey, where you felt burnout and depression. Can you talk us through how that eventuated and what part of life that was?
Yeah, so that happened probably about 15 years ago, 13 years ago. I was a single dad at the time, had two teenagers. I was working in a community school for kids at risk, so risk of harm to themselves, harm to others, harm by others. Really hard work, but really rewarding because you can make a big, average school kid, you can make this much difference in their life. Kids in a community school, you can
Yeah,
almost save their lives. So, which happened a few times. And so, yeah, that was hard work. And then coming home with my kids who are, lovely kids, very smart, very intelligent kids, both captain of their debating teams. When I'd ask them to help out with doing the dishes or prepping the veggies or something for dinner, they'd give me three good reasons why they didn't need to, and I ended up agreeing with them. So, um, yeah, it was hard. And then I think I was one of the only silly ones at this community school, Lee, that had been there for full time for, I think it was like 9 years, then nearly coming up to 10 years. And
right.
most of them were working 2, 3 days a week to sort of balance their life. And so, yeah, and I was running health and wellbeing workshops for my staff then. And then my principal said, Derek, I can see you're really passionate. You know, there's great need out there with school teachers being burnt out. Um, and I also got an Eastern background, so I've done lots of martial arts in my life. I've done lots of Tai Chi and Qigong. I studied meditation and studied Buddhism. And so I was bringing these Eastern practices into my Western, being a good healthy diet, which is not the Western diet. Lots of exercise, lots of connection, playing sports, being active. And so just
Yeah,
bringing it all together. And so, yeah, my principal said, Derek, there's great opportunity. Um, and so I did the normal thing like you do in a part-time business, Lee. You take off one day of work to try and work on your spare business. And that was a Tuesday I took off, but then other schools and other organizations would want me on a Wednesday or Thursday. And it just didn't work off. And then you end up pissing off your boss and says, well, there's a big job out there. And so I was gullible and green and keen. And I said, yeah, I'll leave and start my own business from home, not knowing anything about business. Been in education for the last
yeah,
20 years. So just got myself an email and a website and expected the phone to start ringing and the work to come in. And of course, it didn't. And then here's the thing that I did, which was the worst thing you can do for your mental health. I disconnected myself from my tribe, where we loved working with each other as staff. We would hug each other every morning and every night,
yeah,
really close because it was tough conditions. So I disconnected from them to work from home by myself.
yeah,
I'm a team person, Lee. I'm a people person. What was I thinking? I was just passionate about starting a new business. And then, yeah, not really realizing that I was probably burnt out all my skills and tools and practices were probably just keeping me pedaling above the water. I'm looking okay on the surface, but I'm, more like that duck underneath who's going,
Yeah.
no, just, and so when I then compounded that with being isolated, not connecting to my team, and then my new partner at the time said, what are you doing going out with your mates during the week? You need to focus on your business. And then, you're playing sport, you're going off and doing this, you need to focus on your business. Her ex-husband, he just focused on his business, you're just lazy. And I, whoa, whoa, what's going on? And I was just feeling flat and exhausted and didn't know why.
Mm.
And she'd go off to work and I'd go back to bed thinking, I just need a bit more sleep. I just need a bit more sleep. And I just got worse and worse and just went downhill and downhill.
Yeah.
And it was probably only I got so badly that, yeah, if you said there's $1 million behind the couch, I just would have gone, oh, well. And I thought, what's going on? And the pain, the numbness, oh my God, it was just, I thought, this is just, I can't cope with this anymore. And then I started having thoughts of, well, I don't want to be here anymore. I'll take my own
Hmm.
life. And then I thought, shit, what's going on? I can't take my own life. My kids, I can't do that to my kids. Can't do that to my new partner. I thought, whoa, this is serious. There's something wrong. And then, like most blokes, do you think I just put my hand up and said, help, help?
Mm. Yeah.
No, no, I was too proud to, the ego taking over. I'm a health guy, nothing wrong with me, but there is something wrong with me. So I had this backwards and forth. There's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. Until I went online and did this thing called a DAS test: D for depression, A for anxiety, S for stress. Anxiety and stress were low, 2 and 4, because I did a lot of meditation. But yeah, depression was 24. Do not pass, go see your GP.
Right.
Um,
So
and
that DAS test is available for anyone online to do?
I suppose I
Mm.
don't I don't jump on there. And this was years ago, so there's probably newer and
Different
better
ones.
versions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I didn't have a GP, but didn't get so sick, go to the doctors. So I just found a local one, and he was good. He went and did got his own bit of paper out and ticked the boxes and said, "Oh yes, I think you've got depression. We'll get you to have a chat to a psychologist." And I'm thinking, "Oh, what do they bloody know? Most of them are just wounded healers, and they're useless." And I thought, "All right, I'll just." And he said, "Well, he was good." He said, "Well, if you don't like this one, here's another one, and then here's another one. We'll find one that resonates with you." And I went,
Yeah.
"Okay."
Yeah.
And the first lady was good. She was great. She said, "What's been happening? Tell me." And I went, I had enough self-awareness to say, oh my goodness, I disconnected myself from my tribe. I stopped doing the things for joy. I stopped playing the things I loved. I isolated myself. I went, oh my God, these are basic mental health 101. You don't do these things.
Mm.
No wonder I'm feeling depressed.
Yeah.
And so I knew then what I needed to do to get myself well again, and that's reach out to people.
Yeah.
And it took 3 mates, which is now what they say that if you've got 3 mates when things are shit, and this is what happened to me. I rang the first mate, and he said, Derek, I haven't heard from you. What's going on? And I said, oh, look, I've been diagnosed with depression. He said, oh, you'll be right, mate. Just harden up. Yeah, thanks. Goodbye. Rang the next mate, and he said, oh, Derek, where are you? I haven't heard from you for ages. And I said, oh, yeah, sorry, mate. Been diagnosed with depression. He said, just come out with us, catch up with us on a Wednesday night. He didn't have the awareness that I knew what to do, but I just couldn't get myself moving. When you're depressed, you don't answer the phone, you don't answer text messages, you don't answer the door.
Mm.
You know that you need to, but you just can't get yourself. You're sort of like stuck with glue. Um, and and the third mate, I rang the third mate, and he knew he'd experienced it. And he said, oh, Derek, you got the old black dog. And he said, he ran a shop and he said, the girls can look after the shop. I'm coming to get you now. And he said, come on, it's a nice day. Take you outside. We're having a cup of coffee in the sunshine, in the fresh air. And then he said, righto, where are those golf clubs? Come on, Thursday night, I'll pick you up and I'll take you out. And that's what needed to happen. I needed someone to pick me up
Pull you there. Yeah.
and drag me. I wanted to, so you can't force someone. And I was compliant because I knew that's what I needed to do, and I just needed someone to give me that hand. And
Mm.
so Yeah, I'm so grateful that he got me on the path to getting myself well again and then doing those healthy activities, connecting with my mates, not isolating myself, doing the things for joy. Yeah, fresh air, sunshine, clean food,
Yeah.
connect, goes a long way to keeping us well.
And there's so many men in that sort of position, that for men it's hard to actually, and I think it's changing now. Like conversations like this are really helping that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but still very much it's hard for men to put their hand up and ask for help, right?
Yeah, there's still certain industries. If you're in the construction industry, you're twice as likely taking your own life in any other industry.
Right.
Apprentices, there's two apprentices a day taking their own life around Australia.
Hmm.
So yeah, nine suicides a day around Australia and seven are men. So the stats are not good, Lee. More women try.
How
Uh,
much has that increased over the last 5 years, 10 years? Do you know?
yeah, it was eight and now it's nine post-COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm. And the up to 45, the number one cause of death is suicide.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And then after 65, it's back to suicide.
So when you hear figures like that, and this is something that I often think about, it's not much talked about, We hear of these other issues and why people are dying, and there's all this attention and stuff put into it. But yeah, when it comes to suicide, it doesn't seem like it gets, and maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's getting the attention it deserves.
Well, there's also a good reason for that on social media. They don't allow it.
Right.
Facebook blocks it in their algorithms. They want you to talk about your happy holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's blocked, and your TV stations. The You talk to the police, and I'll tell you that that the death that caused on the railway or that won't be on the news tonight because they don't put it. So they're not. It's unless you know of somebody personally, and the stats are that literally 1 in 10 people know of somebody, family or friends who's committed suicide. So it's getting closer to home. Um, and yeah, and if when it affects us personally, then well, then it forces us to have a look, and then certainly like myself with depression and having that feeling, it has me more conscious and more aware. And yes, I've been on this path of physical and emotional and spiritual health. And because I'm an educator, I'm, I'm my challenge for the rest of my life is to educate and inform as many people as I can. If I can save one person, like I did a talk last night, and I said to the guy, if I can change one person's life at a time, then my work is on its way. It's doing its thing.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Important work. And we'll probably answer a question through this question, but 7 out of 9 suicides a day are
Mm.
men. Why do you think that's the case that more men are suiciding than women?
A lot of so look at the backgrounds. Rural is another one with farmers. So it's still that old school. Um, in rural, it's the men, their identity. When we put our identity of who we are as a man, like if I'm in rural and I'm a farmer, then the farmer's got to provide for the family, provide for and if they're not able to do that through drought or through overseas, what's happening at the moment with trade embargoes and tax and tariffs and things, then they feel that they've been a failure
Yeah.
and they often won't speak up. And that's why they sadly go and shoot themselves. Um, in
Yeah,
construction,
that's a really good point. So, yeah, you tie your identity to that level of purpose, and if that's not working for whatever reason, usually
yeah,
probably external to your control,
yeah, absolutely.
if you feel like a failure, because men are very much purpose driven, like we're the doers.
Yeah, yeah,
And I
task
can reflect on
orientated.
this. Yeah, like I'm just like, no, I'm all for it, but women seem to like to have a chat, right?
Mm.
And whereas I'm just like, okay, just give me the main points that I need to know, and I'm just going to go out there and go.
Mm.
So that's a really a good point of difference. But yeah, so what you're saying is that men that seem to have a failing in their success based on their tied identity causes them
Yeah.
to go, well, what's the point of going on if I can't actually succeed?
Yeah, and that failure is huge. That because of that identity. Um, because the other one, the common one, is that we don't talk because I don't know about you with your dad, but my dad didn't wasn't open, doesn't talk. He was more in my family. There's a bit of autism, and so that and my wife says, I'm glad you're more like your mum, so that I'm more emotional. I'm happy to at my most of my mates' houses over the years, I'd be talking to the wife in the kitchen, my mate be having a beer in front of the TV, and I'd prefer to have a chat.
Hmm.
So that's and because I've done the inner work, I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. I'm comfortable being vulnerable. Um, but a lot of blokes I've learnt, Lee, haven't. As I said, do you learn emotional intelligence off your dad?
No, my dad was, my hero, but emotionally connecting like that, no, it just wasn't a part of the dialogue. I mean, I tried over the years,
Mm,
and
mm,
again, I probably have more of my mum's emotions within me, which is something I'm very grateful for.
yeah.
Because I think that level of emotion has driven my need to understand myself because of that. Like, why am I
Mm,
so emotional? Why do I feel
mm,
different? Because most
mm,
of the blokes and most of my mates even, they're
mm.
very much that old stoic sort of man
Yeah,
figure,
yeah, yeah,
whereas
yeah.
I never was. So yeah, it's interesting how that played out. But yeah, my dad wasn't like that, and yeah, it just developed in this way.
Yeah, and I think particularly in my background that just that white male Anglo-Saxon, where in England, we don't talk about these things and stiff upper lip. And I said, well, it didn't work for your dad, didn't work for his dad. When is enough? When do we need to change the paradigm and shift it that we actually need to talk about things? And so,
But
you
was the
know,
suicide rates as prevalent back then?
probably it just wasn't talked about.
Wasn't
Mm,
talked about maybe.
yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
interesting to understand that, that shift.
Mm,
Because some might say, being all emotional and talking about it might actually affect us to be more sensitive and therefore um, feel more upset or depressed with ourselves when things aren't working out.
yeah, so people say that, and I've learned that that's a fallacy.
Yeah.
We need to be comfortable with all emotions. And we need to, and that takes work to develop the emotional maturity that there's no emotion that is bad.
Hmm.
All emotions are just emotions, and we need to feel them and let them pass through us. In fact, in neuroscience, I've studied an emotion only lasts 4 to 7 seconds. That's all. Unless we keep it going with a story in our head that he did this to me, she did this to me, this is not fair. And then we can keep it on the loop and we can keep it going for freaking hours, days. Every time we see that person or eat something or go to that place, we can keep that loop going for the rest of our life if we choose to. And then that reactivates the feeling, the emotion. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then so yeah, we've got to get better as particularly as men as feeling the emotion and letting it pass through us.
Yeah.
Yeah, all emotions. And so the talk last night, I was talking to the golf club about their mindset, and the talk was how to lower your handicap without hitting a ball by working on the inner game.
Yeah.
And the guy said, "What about frustrated? Is it okay to get frustrated just to have to hold it in and for the rest of the round and then let it out afterwards?" And I said, "No, because that tension you're not going to be able to swing and flow properly. You've got to let it out." Um, Obviously, you let it out in a way that is not going to be destructive to you or anyone else around you. So if you need to go off to the bushes and yell and scream for a second, go and do that, or just, shake it out, blow it out. There's lots of ways we can let go of frustration
Hmm.
and anger in a healthy way. So all emotions. Sadness, feel sad. Yeah, let it be sad. Have a cry. I did a breathing technique the other day, and these sadness came up, and yeah, for the last month or two, Lee, I've been feeling a bit sad, a bit teary, and I thought, oh, okay, no, I haven't got time. I'll just keep working.
Yeah.
And then I sat with this music. It was actually that frequency of 741, the healing one that lets go of stress, reduces cortisol. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
aware of
right.
it.
Yeah.
And so and after 10 minutes, yeah, I could just feel this sadness come up. And I thought, okay, I'm just here in a
So
safe
where do you
space.
listen to that frequency? Like what's
I'm just listening to it in my office as just a daily
like on a podcast or on a
YouTube.
YouTube? Okay.
Everything's on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
How to do
It's so
anything.
it's so important, like just to number one, be aware, and I think that's where most of us fail, is that we don't have that level of awareness
Mm,
to actually see that, okay, I've got an emotional feeling here happening right now.
mm.
But having that level of awareness and then just being with it.
Yeah,
And not
yeah.
necessarily reacting. Most of us will react, including myself, to have an outburst or drink or whatever it might be,
Mm,
in your way of dealing with that emotion. And rather than letting that emotion be felt and understood, you're just suppressing it and
mm.
you're numbing the pain. So you can move through, all right? Like Brene
Yeah,
Brown says, you can move through by that process,
absolutely.
but you numb that pain and that emotion, but you also numb all the other good emotions that you might be having through that process.
Yeah, and that's by doing the work on yourself to sit. And I said to the guys last night, and ladies, I said, if there's one thing you take away from tonight, and that's please pay more attention to how you feel during the day. Yeah. And I've learnt, Lee, that our sole purpose in life is to experience as much joy as possible. And so if we're not feeling joy, what are we feeling? And what is our common feeling? And so Tony Robbins is big on this. He said, you are your dominant feeling. So
Hmm.
if your dominant feeling is anger, then your life is anger. If your dominant feeling is sadness, it's sadness. If it's frustration, if it's resentment, it's whatever it is your
Right.
dominant
Okay.
feeling that will drive your life.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, and so we've got to pay attention. And as you said, I said to people, challenges are never going to stop. They're going to come
Hmm.
along.
Hmm.
Circumstances, events are going to hit us. Sometimes we have an idle day, and then in other days it's full on. We've got to be smart enough and be skilled enough to sit with it and go, okay, what am I feeling? What is this teaching me? Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
Before we lash out at others. And so, yeah, what is this feeling? What is it telling me?
Hmm.
What's going on? Where's it coming from? Why am I feeling this way? Am I being triggered from something that I haven't sought out and let go from my past? We've all got stuff. I've been doing the inner work for 20 years and there's still more layers,
Hmm. Yeah. I agree. And if you do that and you get to a point where you're just like, okay, well, that's how I'm feeling, and you maybe, and I assume this happens often. I certainly know it does. Is sort of okay. Well, I don't know how to deal with that.
Mm.
That's the point where you need to be open enough to asking for help or
Mm.
digging a bit deeper. And I
Mm.
think that level of courage to do that is something that a lot of people need help with, because it's very courageous to have that deeper level of awareness, self-awareness. Because when you know those things about yourself, you sort of it's like, oh, I don't want to see that. Like it's a bit scary, right?
Yeah, and that's why you're right. When we don't understand our feeling, why am I feeling like this is yeah, sharing it. And we will only open up to somebody that we feel safe to share with.
Yeah.
And often that is not our close family and friends,
Mm.
not our partner, sadly.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the men's groups I'm in. So I'm in Men's Wellbeing, which is the largest men's group in Australia. They do a common ground, a 9-week course where you have start off with a group of 10, and we sit in a circle and we do go through a structured program, and it's all about non-judgment. It's listening, deep listening, and just allowing your fellow man to just get off their chest. And so we catch up they encourage you after that to stay together as a group, and you catch up once a week, fortnight, month, whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm
It's
in a
good.
group here, and yeah, that the conversations are just wow. You learn stuff about what's going on for their life because yeah, they need to share it. And can they get that at work? No. Can you get it at home? No. Down the pub? No. Down the club? No. And so for where else do men So we need these um, groups, these circles where men feel safe to just be themselves and open up.
Yeah, that's great. So what is it? What's lacking in our lives, do you think, uh, to cause this level of increasing depression? And I know we could talk about the medications that people are prescribing to people now, rather than you know, it's just band-aid solution stuff, right? But
Yeah.
more so, what is it? Why do you think? And then you've sort of touched on it in your own story, isolation and things like that. But what else is there that's causing this level of disconnect and depression in society?
Well, the big thing is for people living in cities, we weren't designed to live in a city, a
Yeah,
concrete jungle. Look at the last few thousand years, and then all of a sudden, the last 100 years, we're living in a concrete jungle. So you go, if you suddenly popped in from this lifetime, you go, what in the hell's going on here?
yeah,
And there's no wonder because it sets us up to be disconnected
yeah,
to the earth. And so I ground myself every morning. I go out in the grass and do my Tai Chi and my Qigong, um, and that helps us. That alkalizes the body. It connects us to who we are. And then
yeah.
we live on the Sunshine Coast, beautiful part of the world. Go down to the beach. I'm going for a swim later. Got the forest here. So I'm grateful that I grew up in nature with scouts, hiking and biking and camping, caving, rock climbing, all of that's nature stuff. But I'm also an outdoor sporty person as well. So it was a natural fit for me. And then I know, like in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going back to Melbourne. I'm going back to the city. My son lives on the 16th floor in the middle of the city. It's good to be there with him, but I go out in the street and you just go, oh my God, how could anybody live here
Mm,
and work there every day? That is just not good for us. Well, socially, yes, because we can connect with people and there's activities and concerts and festivals, but just the energy is just not good. And you see people walking on the streets and they're all head down like this. They're not happy to be there.
mm,
So the environment we live in is very important, and
yeah,
that's why I choose to live where I choose to live.
yeah.
Also, what are we paying attention to? Our focus determines our results in life, and so the media, social media, is designed to do our head in. It catches our attention. So it's commercial TV, commercial radio. So I say to people, you want to reduce your stress and your anxiety, your overwhelm, your chances of depression and illness. Don't listen to commercial radio. Don't watch commercial television. It's designed to do your head in.
Mm,
Um, and the more we look on that, we've got these leaders around the world who are not behaving in a kind, caring way. They're all about their ego. And so where's the role models? And so this is not setting us
mm,
up for a good society.
yeah,
We know sadly with young people, particularly girls from 13, the longer they're on their phone, their mental health just goes downhill.
yeah, yeah.
And so that's why, the government's trying to change it now to, what is it, 16?
16. Yeah,
You can't have a social media profile. But then you've got to get the parents to take responsibility.
yeah,
As often as a teacher I know, at parent-teacher interview, you look at the kid and then you go, oh, look at the parent. Okay, yep, no wonder. Where are their values coming from? And
yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because I've heard more and more on that recently from teachers that I know. There's just
yeah.
like, we can discipline and do everything at school and then try and get the parents involved, but the parents just say, oh, no, no, not our
Mm.
problem.
Mm.
Evade responsibility. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's seeing it at the other end. She works with childcare educators and seeing it with the parents just dropping off their kids and the kids are out of control and there's no boundaries, there's no this and kids now in childcare are getting violent.
Mm,
It's
crazy.
it's
Lots to you're making an impact. You're doing really good things, particularly in men's health space, and I really love that. It's inspiring for me. You've touched on some really good points there, like getting into nature. These are some just obvious things, right?
Mm.
Um, Finding some things that bring you joy, like playing golf, or I
Mm.
started tennis recently. I'm not very
Right.
very good, but playing social tennis,
Yeah.
and just making time for those things. And not feeling so guilty about not making time for those things, because those things are fundamentally important. Um,
Yeah, that's huge. The guilt and shame. I was coaching a lady earlier this week. If you're a single mum working full time, you are literally the most out of balance person on the planet because they'll put their kids first, their work second, and they put themselves last.
Mm,
And like happened to me, I've learnt this all the hard way. I'm not just giving this as academic theory. I've lived all of this stuff. Um, if we don't put the oxygen mask on ourselves daily, and often you can't wait till the weekend, you can't wait till your annual holidays. These are dailies. So
yeah,
I call self-care self-honoring, Lee.
yeah,
So it's not selfish, it's self-honoring. This
yeah,
is like your car. If you don't fill it up with petrol, sooner or later it's going to run out of petrol.
yeah,
So how do you top yourself up? And this is what I say to people, bring it back to joy. What is one thing you can do today that's going to bring you joy?
yeah,
Um, Golf, you're going to play 18 holes of golf, can take 4 hours there and a bit, and that's 5 hours. So it's a big chunk of your time. So I just tend to play 9 holes now. Um, but it might be just 10 minutes. What can you do?
mm,
Sit out in the back lawn and just be with the trees, nature. What can you do? It doesn't have to take hours, but it's something that I say to people that you've learnt that has served you well, that has topped you up in your past. Maybe because life's got busy and your priorities are changing, that you have forgotten to do it.
yeah,
But it's probably starting to bite you in the bum by not doing it. So yeah, and you got to look, sometimes it's, you got to work with your kids, your family, your partner, your neighbors, and say, look, I need this time to me. As I spoke to my partner, and I said, I need my Thursday afternoon to play with the ex-teachers, play golf. That's my time, my happy space to be with me and tops me up.
mm,
And for a start, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And now she gets it. So, we've got to take responsibility for communicating our needs. We
yeah,
can't expect people just to guess that, you need this. We need to say, hey, I need to do this to keep me well so that I can therefore be the best version of me for you.
yeah, yeah,
That's for our partner, that's for our kids, for our work colleagues.
mm. Yeah, creating that personal time. The morning routine for me was something that I developed that really has helped. And I know as soon as it slips, how I feel different. And when I get it back in, it's not hard to get back in now for me, but it took a lot of years of practice.
Yeah,
But it just makes a huge difference in my day. And
yeah.
same with nighttime, not just shutting off at night and saying, you know what? No, it's my time now. I need to unwind and relax. And you talked about something when you went through divorce and you were sort of looking out there for new relationships, you know, before you start to do the inner work, you're sort of looking to fill that
Mm,
gap through
mm,
an external method rather than the internal method. And I read this story the other day where there was a female talking about it and how she went out there and, were being with multiple different guys, and how much energy that just drained from her because we don't realize that, yes, we want that, person in our lives potentially or that thing in our lives, whatever it might be. But the
mm,
energy that takes away from us, if we're not actually putting the same amount of time giving out the refill station,
mm.
then we're just going to be zapped of that energy and that will lead to burnout and depression.
Yeah, and I liked the lady you had on a couple of podcasts ago, that psychologist lady, Dr.
Mm. Yeah.
The yeah, yeah, and she was saying to be not only very conscious of your physical energy during the day, but your mental energy. And so, yeah, that was a great reminder to me of our activities and the people we interact with can either top up our mental energy or it can take it away. So, got to be very conscious of that, and yeah, and take responsibility for it. So,
Yeah. And I don't think it's about, blocking people off or,
no.
putting up that arrogant sort of boundary, but it's more just saying, okay, well, here's the time that I have for
Mm.
this, but I also need to have my time for this. Then, you talk about, the concrete jungles and there's people and activities and all that happening, but all that activity and all that people, that is really a source of drainage, of our energy if it doesn't have a level of purpose.
Yeah, and so. everybody finds their own different thing. I'm an extrovert, and so I'm happiest going to the MCG with 90,000 people. I love all the buzz of the energy. Where other people, that would be the last thing they'd want to do.
Mm,
So we've got to find what it is for us. I've also learnt that even though I love being in big events, I also need and crave quietness. So I've learnt the distinction between alone time and loneliness.
mm,
So
mm,
now I'm happy to sit by myself in space, in nature, um, and just connect to nature. I don't need any external stimulation. I don't need any external noise or people. In fact, yeah, I've learned that it always has been good for my soul, Lee, and it's probably, you lose or forget the importance of it, and then your body will, or relationships, health, something will start to break down, and it's just a reminder, oh yeah, I need to go back and top myself up in that nice healing space of nature nurtures us and heals us by grounding us and earthing us and connecting us.
mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a practice that I know I need to do to keep myself well.
yeah, yeah. So, Derek, to wrap it up, for those that are listening out there that might be experiencing a level of depression or just dissatisfaction in life, what would you say to them?
Yeah, pay attention to how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And yeah, if your predominant thoughts are feeling sad and depressed, then yeah, have a look at why is that? And if you can't work it out yourself, you're too far down, then yeah, lean into somebody who has been there, who can assist you. Um, Reach out to a GP, but be very careful about being put on medication.
Mm,
Research now is showing that for most people, for mild and medium cases of depression, anxiety, the old SSRIs drugs were never meant for us. And so look at lifestyle. Look at your thinking first. Do the simple things that you can do first. And if maybe someone like myself, who's a coach, who's been there, can support you to help you get well yourself. And look at what have you done to cause this to yourself? Have you made an event mean something and you've disconnected yourself from the people, you have isolated yourself, you're out of sync with your body, you're staying up late, you're sleeping in. So the other thing, Lee, that you probably didn't mention to people is that getting up early in the morning is that first light hitting our pineal gland here, waking us up like men have been doing for tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of years in the past. So now we have too much light, we stay up late, the whole circadian rhythm is out of whack, and that leads to us feeling not well and feeling flat, and then that can lead into more isolation, more I'm not well, I'm all just sleep more, and then we get out of whack and
mm,
we go downhill. So yeah, pay attention to how you're feeling. What am I doing that's probably not keeping myself well?
yeah. Yeah.
What did I used to do that had me well that I'm not doing now?
Yeah.
So if you're in that headspace, and it may not be, able to reflect or sit with someone like myself who can help you reflect and start you to
Yeah.
do some simple things.
Yeah. Find someone you're comfortable with or
Mm,
that you can talk to about it to open you up a bit. And I think people are at different levels, obviously, so you have to look at your own situation uniquely and be
yep,
okay with that firstly. And I just had another chat with an individual about making choices, and it's about choices based on how you feel. And so if you're not feeling that positive or a bit down or whatever it might
mm,
be, you're making a choice that's actually making you feel that way.
yeah,
So what is a small choice you could make that might alleviate that a little bit? And that could be the tiniest little thing, like just
yep,
getting out of bed and going up and making a cup of tea and sitting on the lawn, or again, I haven't been in severe depression or clinical depression where I've, been down and out, but I've had
mm,
mild depression.
mm,
And, it was a choice, okay, well, I just need to go and go to the pool and have a swim. And so just making those different choices, which we
mm.
can do, and start small and it'll grow.
Yeah. And if and just looking back on our life, what have we done before that when we were happy, feeling good? What were we doing? Who were we hanging out with? and what's changed.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, connecting, where's a group? What's the hobbies? What are the interests? What are my things that I have enjoyed doing that's brought me joy, brought me fulfillment, brought me purpose, brought me passion before that I'm not doing now? And have a look. And maybe there's guilt and shame behind that. So that's common with all of us. So,
But
yeah.
then making the time too, like
Mm.
like that guilt and shame we talked about before, but actually looking at it and going, at the end of the day, what's more important is doing what you're doing now, which is making you depressed or sad or unhappy,
Mm.
or taking a bit of time back and just shutting off work or telling the boss that you need to work 2 hours less on a Friday to do that thing that's actually going to help your mental health and overall health longer term. Because at the end of the day, you don't know when your number or time is up.
No,
And why would we want to live any other way than be with a great level of joy and satisfaction in life?
absolutely. And I agree with you. And you and I have done the work. We're comfortable in our own skin and we've got our sense of self-worth, which is up here, Lee.
Yeah.
Sadly, there's so many people whose sense of self-worth is
Yeah.
down here, and
Hmm.
so they don't speak up. 80% of women eat for comfort instead of when they're full. And so they'll have habits that don't serve them well, and that they don't think they're worth it. So
Mm.
that's again, that's connecting to someone who can listen to support you, to help you make better choices, start and look within.
Get better self-validation.
Mm.
Derek, wonderful speaking with you today. Thank you for coming on the show, taking the time out. We've had a great conversation. And I think, as I said at the start of this, that we could probably talk all day on these topics. And perhaps we should some days catch up and have
Yep,
a bit more of a powwow about it. So, no, appreciate your time coming on the show today.
absolutely. Thanks for having me. And yeah, if we make a difference for one of your listeners and viewers today, then that's been worth it. So,
Absolutely.
grateful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. You can check it out, thethrivemovement.com.au. I'll stick the link in the show notes at thehiddenwhy.com. And until next time, peace, passion, and purpose. See you soon.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care.
Cheers.